when you don't create a space for women to be safe, when you don't create a space for women to function in their femininity, you get the 4B movement. It is men's fault that the 4B movement exists. For those of you that are not triggered and going to stay around, this is going to be a bit of a long video, but if y'all watched all 52 parts of Risa Tisa, y'all can listen to this. The fact of the matter is simply this, people. Men in general, and in particular black men in this particular case, because y'all know my content deals with my community, we've had more political power. We've had more access to the table. We've had more seats at the table for a longer period of time than women have had. And I have been doing research on this. This is why I said I had to change my opinion from my previous video, because I love knowledge. I love information. The fact of the matter is women have a legitimate case to stop with us. They have a legitimate case to stop with us as a whole, because the fact is, y'all, this is no joke. One, when you examine the fact that prior to the 70s, divorce was not legalized in this country. It wasn't legalized. Women couldn't have credit cards, couldn't have bank accounts, couldn't have access to anything that would allow them to fully function as autonomous beings where they could make their own decisions without the help or guidance or the signature of a man. Okay, they could not do it. That is the reason that a lot of our grandmothers stayed in these relationships. That is why a lot of our great grandmothers stayed. That is why some people's mothers have stayed. The financial control was the biggest thing holding women back. Now that women have access to money, now that women have access to exercise full autonomy for themselves, now they are saying, we just don't want to deal with you. It started in South Korea in 2019. That's the last time. That was where, the source that I read on the 4B movement, where the 4B movement, for those of you that don't know, it's declining having sex with men, reproducing with men, dating men, or having anything to do with them, period. It's about literally decentering men. Men are saying, well, let's start a 4G movement. Let's men are going to become celibate. You mother idiots. You idiots. That's not going to fix the problem. You see, men are just so concerned today with counteracting women's movements. They're not looking at the heart of why women are doing this. The reason the 4B movement exists is because we, as the patriarchs, because we've dominated the system, we've had the power, we did not actually lead in a proper fashion. I am pro-patriarchy. I do not care. I do not care. I am pro-patriarchy, but it needs to function properly. It needs to function properly. Good leaders actually protect women and make spaces for them to feel safe. No woman wants to submit, and I love that y'all use the word submit, and half of y'all that use that are not Christians, so y'all need to stop nitpicking when y'all gonna try to swing over to my religious viewpoint or whatever. Y'all got to stop that. Ain't no woman nowhere gonna submit where she doesn't feel safe. There has been a lot of coercion that has been done to women in general, and in particular black women, that men have done to enable them to maintain control. So what happens when women say, I don't have to deal with you anymore, I can walk away from you, men lose their, and that is exactly what we're seeing now. You said you didn't want single mothers. You said you didn't want women that were 304s. You said you didn't want women that made bad decisions. You didn't want alpha women. So now the alpha women they're building their own table. They're building the very women that you say you don't want are now building their own table, lining their own pockets. And where the are y'all going to be standing? What I'm saying doesn't apply to men that make safe spaces for women. I'm off the market. I'm taken. Y'all ain't got to say to me. I'm good. And this ain't pandering. So all y'all get ready, ladies, I guarantee you the pandering comments are coming. I don't give a I had to change my opinion on this because either one or two things are going to happen. Either I see this as an opportunity to do exactly what Malcolm X told us to do. And y'all probably would call Malcolm X a simp today. He said that you can tell a lot about a nation based upon the way it treats its women. And we must protect our most valuable resource, which is our women. The fact of the matter is we don't see each other as valuable. And gentlemen, if we call ourselves leaders, this is an opportunity to sit down at the table with our sisters and say, look, we understand we've messed up. How do we fix it? How do we cooperate? And you better hope to God that some of them are still able to sit down at the table with us. Because if they don't, if I don't believe everyone will fall into the 4B movement, but if a large enough percentage of this catches on, our birth rates are already declining. Our marriage rates are already declining. The single mother rate is also declining. So if you have an issue with women, stop sleeping with them, stop dealing with them. If they don't listen, stop dealing with them. But if on the flip side, we've had more political power for a longer period of time in this country than our sisters have. Look at what we've done with it. If we this now, we're going to be having a whole nother conversation a couple years down the line. It's time to wake up. It's time to change. You did.
Your purpose on the earth as a woman if you're not seeking some type of family?
So you've got the brain, right? You've got the ability of intellectual thought. It's just unfortunately you seem to have abandoned needing original thought, or someone didn't teach you, the importance of original thoughts. And now these are the questions you're asking. Brother, the question you're asking is a good question. What is a woman's purpose outside of what society has told her and socialized her that it is? However, that's not the question that men should be asking to women, because women are answering that question for themselves in real time. You have to pay attention. That's a them question. They are answering that question for themselves. And of course, because they are answering that question for themselves, now things are changing. Times are changing, and what purposes we have as men and women are beginning to evolve. The problem is men are not capable of original thought. They've been socialized to be group thinkers. So now we have a moment where men have got two things that they can do. You got two choices you can make. You can now evolve and understand that your purpose as a man must too evolve, or you can decide to remain here and get left behind. It's up to you. You're smart enough to make the right decision. I know you are. You just haven't had anyone to teach you. The question that you're asking is a woman question. Women ask that question to women. Women ask that question to themselves. That's not the question that you're supposed to be asking as a man. You're in women's business. Stop doing that. You need to be in men's business. The question is not, well, what are women going to do now that they're not making babies? It's what am I going to do now that women don't need me? Oh my God, what kind of man am I supposed to be now? I'm no longer the bedrock of the community. My purpose has expired. So what's my new purpose? That's what you're supposed to think about. Your job is no longer to tell women what she's supposed to do. Those days are over. Your job is no longer to be there to guide women. You're no longer responsible for the actions of women. You are now responsible for what you do. Women are your natural counterpart, yes? Okay, if that's what you believe, then you should be worried about evolving to further accommodate women and not further subjugate women. You got the intellect, you just don't have, it's not on. It's not on. Turn it on. You're asking women questions. You not a fucking woman. Ask man questions. You asking women questions. Women already asking that motherfucking question for themselves. You worried about the wrong shit. If you are no longer as a man supposed to be the bedrock of the community, if you are no longer the cornerstone, if that has changed, now you have to ask, what is your new purpose? You have to decide what being a man is in this society now. You ain't no white man in the 1950s. You ain't gonna never be that. So be something different. God, I'm frustrated because you're smart. You're very smart. It's just that you're using your brain the wrong goddamn way. And that ain't even your fault. It's just, well, I mean, as an adult, it kind of is your fault because you're not listening to women, but you continue to think you got the right to criticize them. It's a lot, bro. You asking the wrong questions. Read, brother, read. Damn.